Hey everybody, welcome back to a paint scheme review for the Darlington Southern 500. It's a cookout. Not sure if it must be a sponsor of the cookout. Southern 500 usually is, I believe, is Bojangles last few years, but this year it is cookout. So we're going to look through the paint schemes. Basically everyone that's been announced as of Wednesday evening. Can't even keep my days straight. And we'll just take a look at them, and I'll give you my thoughts as we go through them. So the first one on here is Quinn Houff's. This is the what is it? Permatex Chevy Camaro. I'm not sure what it's throwing back to. I mean, I see on the side we got a guy holding the checkered flag as somebody comes across the line. That's probably Milt Marion. So not sure much other than that. Honestly, this car is going to be in the back. We're not going to see it much, so there's not a ton to go through on it. We do have Brad Keselowski throwing back to some of his Xfinity championships, or maybe just one, when he was running the discount tire car. They basically had to bring the black stripe up and then add a red skirt. That's pretty much it. So not a ton of changes. It looks pretty similar to the first one. So I don't know. I'm not a huge fan, but it's something different, I guess. We got Austin Dillon's American Ethanol car. I love this type of thing that they do at Childress, which is they change the number font, sponsor font, and they all work together to make the car look really, really good. And they've had some really good number threes. Now, one thing that's really weird is they haven't thrown back to Dale Sr. And they haven't had the number three stay the font the same and just run like the rainbow car or something really, really spectacular. So I'm hoping that's in the works, but I haven't seen it yet. And I mean, this car looks good. It's a Junior Johnson throwback, but their colors weren't exactly an option at that time. The options that we have now are much, much better. So it would be really cool if they could run some of the more colorful paint schemes. So let's go ahead and move on to the next one. Kevin Harvick, Busch beer throwback. This is actually not a throwback to a paint scheme, but a throwback to a can. When they ran the NASCAR Busch Series, this was the old Busch logo. They were the Busch Series from 1997 to 2007. I believe he won 2 championships, and 01 and 06 will be on the tail, so that's kind of cool. But this is just a throwback to the Busch can from that era. So kind of a unique paint scheme just because of the white and blue on it. And it's a new paint scheme, so he'll probably win in it, just knowing Harvick. Then we got the Oscar Mayer throwback for Ryan Newman. I'm not entirely sure what he's throwing back to here. It's honestly just a good-looking paint scheme. This could run in any given week right now. Pretty clean, got a good combination of colors. It would work pretty well. I mean, this is a good-looking paint scheme. Frankly, I'd let it take the place of the current Oscar Mayer scheme, honestly. Number 7, Josh Bolicki. I believe he'll be running this one for Tommy Baldwin. It's a Tom Baldwin throwback. And of course, being it's Tommy Baldwin, they can put Insurance King on there in any font, and then they can match the number 7. It'd be cool if they could add a couple more contingency decals up front, but I get it. So it's a throwback to more of a modified, or what do they call those? What the heck do they call those things? Legends? Is that what? No, Legends are the little ones. But the style of car is very different, so the paint scheme doesn't match completely, but nonetheless, it's a very solid tribute throwback as far as color, number, everything matches there. Next will be the number 8. This is a Cat Power throwback to, I believe it was Jeff Burton that I think ran this one. I can't remember for sure, but very, very colorful. Bright blue hood, you got bright yellow, got bright red, got Cat Power on the side, so it's a very unique car. And then they got the 8 different font for that number 8 there, so that's pretty cool too. So Childress has been pretty good at knocking those paint schemes out of the park. They've done a good job of making sure when they put a throwback on the track, it's a good throwback, and this year is no exception. This is probably my personal favorite. I loved Jimmy Johnson's 09 paint scheme for Lowe's, and being you can throw it on the Napa 9 car, change the number to yellow, and it looks really, really good. It works with Napa well. The color scheme puts together really well. Only thing on this car that's a little bit of a drag is that they didn't add the extra little kind of house-looking thing to the hood. They just have it coming flat across instead of kind of bubbling up. I get why, but that would have been the only other piece. Otherwise, the rest of it looks really, really good. So it's really cool that they got, they were able to get this paint scheme on that 9 car. We got the Go Bowling number 10. This is a pretty cool throwback as well. This one is thrown back a long, long ways for Go Bowling. This was actually an old Ford that they, I'm trying to see who ran this. Number 22 up there I see, but the one thing I haven't seen very much of, and maybe NASCAR has a rule where you have to keep the number inside the door, but I want to see him be able to move that number forward or backwards and on the door just for this race where you can kind of slide some stuff around and work with it. I'd like to see a few more decals moving around on this car, but it's a good looking throwback for sure. I think that's one of the biggest downsides is when you have you can see how they have some contingencies and different oddball logos on the side of that 22, and then they only have Go Bowling and a couple logos there. So that'd be my only thing. But other than that, I mean, it's a pretty solid tribute there. This car is gorgeous. The Federal Express. This is what Federal or FedEx, or when they were called Federal Express. This is what their planes and their delivery vans were painted like. So this is a really, really good throwback just because it matches what their fleet was painted like. With the purple on white like that, and they have the orange accent. It looks really, really good. I really like this paint scheme. Hamlin's had some pretty good throwbacks last few years, and this one's pretty darn good as well. We got Ryan Blaney. This is the throwback to a Paul Menard. Menard's paint scheme from, I believe it was the ARCA series. But this is back when they would run the maroon blue with these colors, and they really didn't have much neon color or even green for that matter. So this is a pretty old throwback when you go all the way back to the navy color. But they have the Maytag on the hood, and then they got Menards, and of course all the Menards sponsors all over the rest of the car. But a pretty solid throwback for the Menards group, being able to throw back to Paul Menard. We got number 14 Peak antifreeze car. I'm not honestly sure. It looks like it might be like a Ned Jarrett throwback. I'm just shooting crap here. I don't honestly know who this is a throwback to. It's a good looking car, but the one thing I will say, they did put the contingencies on the side, which kind of helped make the car look a little more like a throwback, but the Peak Antifreeze logo is just a little bit too new to blend in. Let's see, who is this? This is Brennan Poole. This is actually a really good throwback. Again, the number matches the number font. Then they just kind of have to put their own logos in there to make it work, but it actually worked out really well with putting as many contingency type sponsors on the front as they could. And the sponsor matches as far as color scheme all around. The biggest thing to me is when the color, or when a car does a throwback, it has got to have a matching number to the old throwback, at least a font. It doesn't have to be the exact same number, but the font has to be there. I prefer it if the number's there too, but like in Chase Elliott's case, he's never going to run a 48 car. So that's kind of a taken away, but especially like with this 15 car, this is great. I mean, a perfect match font. Kyle Busch thrown back to the Elliott Sadler era in the M&M's car. He won, I believe he won in this car at Texas. Maybe not, I gotta remember, but you can see how they changed the font on that 18 to match the 8 from the 38 car of Elliott Sadler, and then the M&M's are exactly where they were on that car. So the one thing that really makes these cars stand out that I don't want to say I don't like, but I think needs to be changed, they got to put some more contingency sponsors just for the throwback race, because the left side is so clean right in front of the 18. There used to be tons of stickers there. So even if you don't have a real sponsor, just throw something up there just to blend it in and make it look more like a good throwback, That's my opinion. This is literally the same as like last year's. Yeah, it was last year's throwback that looked the exact same. Now I want to say, I think the throwback last year was a little bit shorter as far as the yellow stripe, and it was supposed to be a little bit different car, but let's get real, this paint scheme is the exact same. This is not very original. So this one's going to not get a good grade in my book. Not that it's a bad paint scheme, just that they did a really bad job. Worst case scenario, what they could have done is just lean the numbers forward. Do one extra thing to make it look more like the car it's thrown back to. This one I love, except for the red. I wanted that to be orange. It has got to match, because when you change the colors, I don't know what it means. I understand they were thrown back to a Home Depot car from Tony Stewart, but once it turns red like this, I don't honestly recognize it. It's a great looking paint scheme. Honestly, they could just keep this as their weekly paint scheme if they wanted to, but when you put an orange in there, I know that's a Tony Stewart Home Depot throwback. So, you know, I like this paint scheme. It's a really good looking paint scheme, but as far as a throwback, without having a matching color, I can't be sold. This, it never fails. The Wood Brothers have so many options in their closet to go to as far as putting a good throwback on the track, and this is no different. Tiny Lund on one side, you got Marvin Punch, I think, on the other side. On the door, you got Matt DiBenedetto, but just, you know, got the maroon color. I think that's more what I'd call it, maroon. I'm not really sure. And then you've got that kind of cream white, a little bit different font on that 21, but this is a good looking throwback. The Wood Brothers never ever fail to have a quality looking throwback, and this year is no exception. They nailed it again. Joey Logano, this is a Bobby Allison throwback. It looks pretty good. I mean, they have the star on the back, 22. I mean, it's the scheme is right on. I would like to see them change the font. I get why they don't, but I think changing the font on the number would help that scheme blend a little better. But other than that, I mean, this is a 6 out of 10 type throwback. Not super great, not super colorful, matches the scheme well. Numbers, you know, it's just, I don't know. It's one of those throwbacks that I don't think I'll be getting, if you know what I mean. William Byron thrown back to the 2013 car that Jimmy Johnson won the All-Star race in. It's an okay paint scheme because the 4 is the same font they use on the 48. And the Liberty colors work pretty well on this hood. But it's a solid throwback. I mean, it's just not a good paint scheme in my personal opinion. Gloss white was kind of bland to me. So, you know, it's a quality throwback for sure. It definitely encapsulates exactly what car it was supposed to be, but it's just not my personal favorite. If they make a die cast of this, I am absolutely getting this. This is a J.J. Yaley throwback to Kenny Irwin's Nerf car, and you can see the colors on this thing. You can see the winner circle where it says Jacob Companies on the side. That's the winner circle logo. And then you've got Fort Worth screen printing. I believe that's supposed to be, I don't know what that logo is supposed to be, but it's definitely a little change. And then you got Jacob Construction on the front. Oops, on the front, and that's supposed to be the Nerf. And as I said, this is a bright, colorful car. If they make this throwback, I am all over it. I love this paint scheme just for the colors. It's a really good throwback because they matched a lot of stuff up on it, but the colors on this are really cool. It screams 90s. Here we got John Hunter Nemechek in the kit guard car. He's thrown back to an Elliott Sadler Kitgo car, I believe. But he's basically the 38 is supposed to be, I think, a 21 was the car he's thrown back to. But it's an all red car, so yeah, that's the one downside to an all red car throwback is the car just has to be red. So you know it's not super iconic because there's a lot of cars that were red. Kane's Budweiser car, you know, there's a bunch of them that were just plain red. Oh yeah, this one here. So this is Curtis Turner's number 41 throwback. Really good because it can match the font and the number. The only downside is on the front where they put Haas. They honestly would have, in my personal opinion, be better off just keeping the Haas off the hood and let that hood be big, bright, and red. Just leave it alone. I understand why they didn't do it, but I would have loved to see it. I think it would have really helped this throwback really shine. I mean, I think it would look great. This Haas logo is definitely drawing it down, but it's a good throwback. You know, numbers on point, colors on point. Everything's where exactly the way you'd want it. Just, man, if you could pull that CN Haas logo, or just the Haas logo off and the little bits, boy, this could be a really good looking paint scheme. This one was just announced today. This is honestly a horrible scheme, and I don't mean horrible. So it's a throwback to Mark Martin's number 6 car. The reason I say it's horrible, they didn't do anything with the font on the car, and they didn't do anything with the font on the apps. And so honestly, this literally just looks like a Cash App car, because when you don't change 2 of the 3 things, you end up with just one element of the car, and it doesn't look that good because Cash App is green. The car is green. Okay, that's not really all that different. There's a fade to the front. Okay, sure, but you know, outside of that, there's not a ton of room here. Now, again, it's a good-looking car. Don't get me wrong. This is not something that's like, again, this is a car they could run any week, and I wouldn't know it's a throwback. That's kind of how I know it's not a good throwback, is when you can see it and say, well, that's not really a throwback. Same deal in this car. So good looking car, just in terms of throwback power, I wouldn't rate it high. What do you say? I mean, this is gonna earn throwback of the year, and it's only because of the fact that he is a seven-time champion with the other two seven-time champions, with Earnhardt on the side and Petty on the top. You got the 48 leaning forward. You got the black and the gray skirt. You got Do It Right Ally on the hood there to make it look like the STP. You got the different font on the roof for the 43 or the 48 there too. But this is going to be a good car. Spoiler alert, I have this car pre-ordered because this is going to be a masterful car with the 3 7-time champs on it. This is just a very, very cool tribute that Jimmie Johnson gets to run in his final season. Joey Gase, this one actually ran with Tony Stewart with Coca-Cola a couple years ago and won Paint Scheme of the Year. And this one is the same paint scheme. It's a good looking paint scheme, don't get me wrong. You've got the 51, change the font, everything matches up. The red, the gold, it's a good looking car. It's just they've done it before. So it's a good looking paint scheme. You definitely, this is a throwback paint scheme. Again, a lot of it's in the numbers. But it's just, you look at it and you can tell this is a throwback. So it's been done before, so it's not, I'm not going to lie, it's not high on my list. This one is another throwback. This is a Rick Ware car. I believe it's James Davidson is going to be running this car. But the coolest thing about this one is you got Signing Day Sports. I don't know who they are, but they changed their logo on the left side there, down around the back to make it kind of blend better, and it does make it look a lot better. It works pretty well on this car, and then obviously the font getting changed. So Rick Ware has done a pretty good job in the past of just making his throwbacks look pretty solid, at least making the car look good while it's on the track running 30th. Oh my goodness, please offer this. This car is awesome. Throwback to the Phil Parsons Skull Bandit. What else do you have to say? The 66 on point. The green flames on white on point. The little bandit on the hood that says roofclaims.com. That's fantastic. You even have roof claims across the hood and on the sides. I mean, this is a top-notch paint scheme. This is, just for the spoiler alert, this is in the top 5. This Timmy Hill car is great. Again, I don't think they'll let me pre-order it because he's not super popular, but I love this car. This is another car I really, really like. Dirty Mo Media and Plan B Sales kind of got together and sponsored Ross Chastain for this ride. You see on the left side here, or on the right side, them gold sparkling number 77s. And here's the deal. Dale Earnhardt Jr. is exceptionally picky on his paint schemes, and he revealed this on Dirty Mo. And he loves the paint scheme, and if he's got his name on it, it's going to look good. That's kind of a rule. I saw Matt Tifft had run this before, but he ran it with a black number 19 and not the gold numbers on the side. So, you can say he's copycatting, but this one's way, way better. And just so you know, Plan B Sales is on the trunk. So definitely a cool car. It is being offered by Lionel and Plan B Sales and all them guys. So there are going to be die casts for this. Spoiler alert, I'm getting one. And this one, which, bittersweet. Good looking paint scheme. Brett Moffitt's throwing back to this exact same paint scheme at Phoenix, except I think this is 08 and he's running the 07, but they were the same paint scheme, so, good paint scheme. It's a good throwback and everything. There's nothing wrong with it there. I would have loved, and I mean loved, if it could have been the Cobalt scheme. I loved the 08, 09, 07, that era Cobalt scheme. It was my favorite. I pray somebody runs that Cobalt scheme this year. I loved that car. But anyway, this is the 07, 08. He wanted, 3 championships and a Daytona 500 in this car, and two Brickyard. Just 2? Yeah, 2 Brickyard 400s. So he won a lot of races in this paint scheme. So it's another really, really good throwback from Bowman to Johnson. Christopher Bell thrown back to when he won the Truck Series Championship in the JBL scheme. Obviously, the Ream changed the color from orange to red. Hurts it a little bit. It's not bad. You can get by with it. But it's definitely, I would have loved to see it in the orange just because it looks so much better. But it's a pretty solid throwback nonetheless. And Daniel Suarez thrown back to his championship Xfinity season when he drove the 19 in the Aris Toyota, and then he's just running the 96 Aris Toyota now. Had a quick sneeze there. But this is another throwback. I don't think they're offering it, but it's a pretty good throwback just to the era scheme because he's run it before. But you know, 9 is the same font as it was before, so it's Gaunt Brothers has done a good job with just getting slight improvement this year. They've got a little work to do yet, but pretty good nonetheless. So that should be the last paint scheme. The only other one left, or the other one, we're going to go through the top 5. We're going to start at number 5. I got to kind of scroll back through to pick it. Number 5 on that list. Another sneeze. Good gosh. Number 5 on the list. Where did it go? Is there. Number 5 is Chase Elliott's Napa. Number 9. Now, I know I said it was one of my favorites, and it is, but there's some better ones out there. And the reason this one's going to go number 5 instead of any higher, number 9 is not changed font-wise to fit the 48. And they had a couple little things on the front that they could have done. But again, very, very small details. But this is the only one of those Jimmie Johnson throwbacks that's going to make it. So, spoiler alert, that there's not going to be any others for the Hendrick group in this list. So that's number 5. Number 4 on my list, gotta scroll back forward quick. Yeah, that's a problem when I do it on a keyboard. Number 4 on my list, there it was, is this one here, the Ross Chastain car. This car matches everything about the old car. The colors are great. The shiny gold numbers is the biggest kicker for me. Seeing those shiny gold numbers is absolute thrill. I love this paint scheme for that reason, and if it didn't have the shiny gold paint schemes, it probably wouldn't have made it. But because it does, and it doesn't have a hood logo, this car is absolutely deserving to be number 4. Number 3, actually right here. There it is. The number 3 is the number 66 car. This, as I said, I would love to get a pre-order of this, but I don't think it's going to be out there. This Timmy Hill car looks great, though. They did a good job matching everything up on this car. The only thing that I was wondering was if they could add more contingency type sponsors on the front of the left side. I don't know if NASCAR allows it or not, but that would have been the only other thing, is just having a bunch of stickers all over it to make it look good. But again, this is a really, really good quality throwback. That he's running for this one. Number 2 on that list. There. Oh, did I miss it? I think I may have gone too far. Gotta keep going. Gotta keep going. Oh, I did miss it. What did I do? Well, I'm forgetting where I'm at here. The number 2 throwback on my list is, there it is. How did I miss it? It's bright and colorful in my face. The J.J. Ely throwback. I mean, I understand that this car is going to run in the back, but they got the sponsor to change its logo to Winner Circle and Nerf just for this race. I mean, they literally got it to change, the entire car in terms of logos just to make it fit. And this is a good looking car, just super, super colorful. It screams 90s. You absolutely can tell it's a throwback. And as I said, the Jacob Company's logo, I know that's the Winner Circle logo. And I know that the front one is the Nerf logo because they did a good job of manipulating the name to fit on the car, but yet still look like the old logo. So Jacob Companies did a good job on that one. And the number 1 throwback, everybody knows, it's this one. It's got to be the 7-time champ scheme. I mean, it's not the actual paint scheme itself. It's just, you've got 21 titles on this car. That's the biggest thing about this car and the biggest reason. Because this car having Richard Petty and Jimmie Johnson and Dale Earnhardt elements to it is absolutely fantastic. This car, paint scheme-wise, looking at it, it's a good-looking paint scheme. Don't get me wrong. There's nothing wrong with the paint scheme. But the biggest thing is just its overall value. When you see this car on track, it has got legend written all over this car. Obviously, my personal opinion is that Jeff Gordon is the greatest race car driver of all time. Someday I'll make a video about it, but this is by far the best paint scheme for this year, just in terms of value. Overall looks, it's not going to be this one, but this is the best car for this year, literally based on just the value of 21 championships on that car. So that's been pretty much my reviews of these paint schemes. Let me know your thoughts down below in the comments below. Make sure you let me know your favorite paint scheme. Obviously, rate your top 5 down below, and we'll go through and see how many people agree or disagree, and we'll see what everybody's top 5 cars is. What I will do is I will try to put out a poll or what I want you guys to do in the comments is put down your top 5, and then I'm gonna go through and find the top 5 and just see which ones are most commonly coming up, and I'm gonna run a poll on my Twitter page, or not Twitter, on my Facebook, not Facebook, YouTube. I'm gonna put a YouTube poll out on Friday afternoon, and we're going to go ahead and vote on who has the best paint scheme. And by Sunday morning, we're going to go ahead and take a look at who had the best paint scheme for the weekend. So we'll go ahead and do that on Sunday. So stay tuned. Make sure you put your top 5 in the comments below. I will put that poll together for Friday, and then make sure you vote on Friday for the top paint scheme of the weekend. But other than that, this has been Race Grace. Thank you all for watching. Apologize for the maybe a little bit worse audio than usual, but still trying to set up a PC stream and I'm not super used to it yet. So thanks for watching. Appreciate all the support, and we'll see you in the next diecast review.